Hello! It's me, it's Tribble of Doom. Again, I cut my hair, you may not recognize me, but I assure you, we're on my channel. Here we are, this is me. I'm here to do several things. First things first, Call of the Wild 26 is online right now, and you can watch it if you want to, but it's only on Patreon. At the moment, it'll be on regular YouTube on Monday, so don't be sad. But if you want to see it right now, you can donate as little as $1 on my Patreon. Also, if you didn't know I had one, I have one. It exists. I don't update it as much as I should, but once I'm working on My Pride more, I will be. Which brings me to my next thing. My Pride, we got funding. We got our IPF funding, and we like 99% got the other one, but we're not allowed to say what it is yet, like what the funding source is yet, because we're on a secret embargo. Can't. So My Pride's going ahead. And we're gonna have the first episode of that out in February, and then episodes every 2 weeks from then on in. So that's exciting, and we're gonna be picking our extras from within the fan base. So if you haven't auditioned for My Pride and you wanna audition for My Pride, do that. Also, if you're an artist living in Ontario, you should email me at mypridetheseries@gmail.com, which is gonna be in the description of the video, because I'm gonna be hiring storyboard artists and animation helpers and some background folks, so email me. If you're in Ontario only though, I can't hire outside of Ontario for reasons. Those are updates. I'm also doing a Q&A video right now, right here, right now. You came to the right place because I put out a request for questions like months ago, and I was like, I'll do this next week. And then I started working I was working on the show Odd Squad, which was super fun, but I had no time. I did a big commute, and then I worked on it, and then I came home, and then I went to sleep. But now I'm on My Pride full time because of crazy life stuff. Thanks again for helping us get here. I'm so excited. There's gonna be a lot of content about that. I'm gonna stop talking about it, and I'm gonna answer some questions from Twitter. First question I have is, Shelby Bartley asks, can we be art friends? And yes, we can. I don't know you in real life, Shelby, but we know each other on Twitter. Pretty sure we're mutuals. I'm pretty sure we already are art friends. Freedom 1000 asks, of all the minor characters who don't get as much attention or screen time, which is your favorite and why? I didn't specify, so you can answer for Call of the Wild or My Pride. Well, since My Pride doesn't exist yet, I don't really know who I love. But in Call of the Wild, who do I love? I don't know, I wish Kia had her own show, because Kia's I want Kia and Mara to have a buddy cop show where they're just sassy at each other, but secretly respect each other deep down. Freedom also asks a second question. She says, question number 2, do you have any scenes, characters, lines, whole plots, etc. that if you cut out of Call of the Wild? If so, which ones were the most difficult to cut out? Well, the new episode. If you go see it on Patreon right now, it has a whole bunch of things cut out. And I'm gonna put up the deleted scenes on Patreon so people can see what was gonna be there, which involved Sharp and Jet, and I really want them to have things, and I have the whole plot of Fang's childhood with Sharp and Flutter and Saber and Jet, and you may not remember who any of these people are, but I know who they are, and I wanted to do a flashback where we see how the pieces come together, and Sharp's mate, and then how Blue ended up in the pack, and it's just too much. Because I'm a stupid adult and don't have time to just animate wolves all the time. Doing episode 26 was such a struggle because I've had jobs constantly, which is great and wonderful, and I love being employed, and I love that I get to be an artist who's employed, but also when's the gal to draw the woofs? I guess, yeah, the whole shark thing had to be cut. There's a whole background for the kingdom before Rune, with Rune's dad and Baldur's dad. There's a whole thing that's also cut. There's a yin-yang plot at some point. So much has been cut out, you guys. Which is why I really want to write Call of the Wild as a book series, but then I don't know if it would translate well or if anyone would publish that. It's such a weird concept that belongs in 2010 internet. It's strange that it's even still here in 2019. Makia asks, who's in charge of the kingdom when Rune and Mara are gone? So, in case you forgot how that all went down, Mara was sent to listen to Fang's meeting with Kia to guard her and make sure she was fine, and then Kia saw Lupus and she was like, what? And then she went back to Rune and was like, hey, I think Mink's son is here, and Rune was like, cool, cool. And then he left his mother in charge. So Doran has been babysitting Rune and Mara's babies, which they have. People keep being surprised. I feel like I've said it lots of times, but they have babies. Doran, who's Rune's mom, has been babysitting them and running the kingdom, and she's a grumpy old lady, and we're gonna meet her in episode 27, if that ever gets made. Animation. Oh boy, does it take a long time. Gee willikers. Katie B asks, tips for maintaining self-discipline and managing a life while writing? I don't know, like, just don't go outside. I find that I'm really bad at being like, I don't need to go to that social event, I need to be writing. Like, if someone invites me to something, I'm just like, yes, of course, I would love that, please, thank you for inviting me, just please invite me. I have a very hard time saying no to social engagements in favor of writing, because my brain is like, you don't usually have friends. You'll have all the time in the world to write. Someone wants to hang out with you. You gotta go there right now. But now, as an adult who does have friends, I end up writing a lot less because I don't say no to shit ever. So I guess know what things you really want to go to, and go to those, and don't go to ones that you're kind of on, and stay home and write, because writing sometimes is more fun than hanging out with people, in my opinion. So you hang out with your friends you made up, so they're obviously perfect. And it's usually dogs. Usually you get to hang out with a bunch of imaginary dogs. Hockey Ann asks, what inspired you to start animating and writing My Pride? When I wrote My Pride, I was 14. It was, oh my god, 11 years ago. It was 11 years ago. And when I was 14, I was just really sad. And writing My Pride helped me feel less sad, because it was about a sad lion, and I got to be sad in the context of lions better than being sad in the context of 9th grade. The reason I decided to start animating it was because of a fit of rage, because I was working for this video game company, which I will not say the name of, and I told my boss I wanted to go part-time to write more, because I had just gotten my agent and I was so excited. And she like Skype called me. She was in France. She Skype called me and she told me that like I was like talentless and like no one would ever hire me, and my agent was like taking me for a ride and like all this stuff, and she was like, you gotta stay at this job for another year so you can learn how to be a writer before you can ever get another job ever, because you suck. And I was like, whoa, lady. So that made me really sad, and then I was like, but what if, just shut up, lady. And then I knew that the IPF deadline was coming up in a month, because a couple of my friends were considering making trailers, and I was like, well, this seems like a good time to just like check out of that job and make a trailer. So I quit my job, and then I just was like, I'm gonna not have a job for a month, and I'm gonna make this trailer, and I'm gonna make it as good as it can be, and I'm gonna just make the story I wrote when I was a kid real, because I can do what I want to do, and people who say I can't gotta be taught a lesson. I got cool jobs now, haha, idiot. She's not an idiot, she's very smart. She's just so mean. Rust Ray asks, if you could change anything about Cow the Wild, like a character or event or something, what would it be? Well, I set up a lot of plot lines that when I was a kid in high school, I was like, obviously I can finish all these plot lines. I got all the time in the world. And man, when you're 14, you so do. I mean, school was never hard for me. Like, I never did homework and I got straight A's. And so I just had all the spare time in the world. And most kids go out and get drunk and do drugs. And I was like, I'm gonna animate dogs. And because I didn't go out and do cool kid stuff, and because it was easier for me to get A's in classes without like doing anything at home, I had all the time in the world, so I put in all these plot points, and I was like, I can finish this, I can finish this. How much harder could university be? It's like different. In university, you don't have time to sit in your basement animating dogs so much. If I had started Cow the Wild knowing the time constraints I'd have in my adulthood, I would have written a shorter story that was less complicated. Although that's like part of what's fun about it, is that it's like the most tangled web of anything. But in the interest of being able to finish the thing, I would have not had so many plots that I'll now need to like figure ways to tie up. Well, I know how most of them are ending. It's just like a lot to like, you know, weave, and it takes longer than if there was like 3 plot lines than like 20. Happy Fuss says, questions. Happy Fuss is one of my favorite people. She says, What do you use to animate when you first started? What about editing? I think that's something I've always been curious about. Sorry if this has been confirmed previously. The very first thing I used to animate when I did like Warrior Cats, like episode 1 Warrior Cats, was like a knockoff Photoshop thing that came on a disc when I got a digital camera for my birthday when I was like 10, and then there was a disc with like this fake, not really Photoshop, but Photoshop program on it, and I just drew the pictures and then I animated them in iMovie. I use animated loosely. Like if you go see it, you're like, ah, animated. And then I found this program called Pencil, which I loved. I don't know if it exists anymore, and if it does exist, I imagine it's probably pretty crappy by now. But Pencil was like, it was like an easier to use version of Flash. Like it had less features than Flash, it was easier to understand, and that's what I used for most of animating forever. Like I used that up until episode 24. And then Pencil started being crappy, so I got a copy of Toon Boom, like a rip-off copy, and then I started buying copies. And that's what I use now. Now I use Toon Boom, and I was stealing an Adobe Creative Suite from an old job, but now that's gone away, so now I'm just paying for, what is it? What do I use? Premiere! I use Premiere to edit, and I use Toon Boom to animate, and it's all great. That fictional alien nerd asks, what inspired you to become an artist? And then they added a good one too, and I'm like, no! You don't gotta suck up to me, man. I know I have very rudimentary art skills. Have you met other artists? Jesus. And nothing inspired me to be an artist. I think a lot of people share this in that they're a kid and they just love drawing. I don't know, like since I was tiny, since I could pick up a pencil, I just love drawing. I can't sit without doodling. Every meeting I've ever been to where I'm supposed to be taking notes, it's just pictures of dogs. Like drawing's just something I do subconsciously. I have very busy hands, so I can't not do it. It's just a way to not be alone with my thoughts, really, when I'm doing other things. I don't really consider myself an artist so much as a compulsive doodler that has gone too far. Arts and Cats asks, what's the best way to stay motivated as a creator? When you create one thing that you show to somebody and they're like, whoa, that was good. That made me feel feelings. You feel like a feelings wizard? I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but I need someone external from me to tell me that something I did made them like either sad or laugh or any reaction, and I'm just like, that makes me so motivated to make more things, because I'm so bad at talking to people, at like socializing with people, and then if I can make something that will get a reaction from somebody and make them happy or make them understand feelings better, or I don't know, that's magic. I think once you realize that creation is magic, I don't know if that sounds douchey, but that is how I stay motivated, is I think about what kind of difference it could make to someone who could be reading it or could be watching it, and that makes me want to do it. And even for me, like, I don't know, I like to read things I've written before and be like, that's who I was. That's so interesting that here I am now and I have this piece of me that I put somewhere else. I think that's amazing. So just pretend you're a wizard, I guess, is my answer to that. Cliff the Fox asks, could Cat of the Wild ever cross over with My Pride? No? Cat of the Wild ostensibly takes place in some weird fictionalized wolfy version of Canada, full of snow, and My Pride takes place in some weird fictionalized version of Africa. The weather is so different between the places. I don't know how, like, not in a real plot way. Like, I could do a video where it's like Luna and nothing, compare who's sadder. Like, I could do that, but like there's no way an episode can be like, and then there was this wolf that showed up and she was like, where's all the snow? Why am I in this jungle? You can say they theoretically take place in the same universe. I can like pull a Tarantino and be like, it's all one thing, but like they're so far away that they'll never meet. But they're in the Tribble of Doom verse where animals are sad. You've previously said that My Pride was a book you wrote. Will the animated series be relying heavily on it, or will there be plot twists and such that the book didn't have? So, My Pride was a book. It's available if you want to read it for free. I can put the link in the description of this video if you care to check it out. It's pretty long. And it somewhat relies on it, but there have been a lot of changes. The book has a lot more, like, plot lines that are started and kind of like dropped, and in reading it again and then trying to adapt it to like a more cohesive season of web TV, a lot of things that I've written in there just don't go anywhere. So I'm getting rid of things that don't go anywhere, and I'm putting in more themes that I have like from my current perspective. Like something in the book that I found when I was reading it was that Nothing, or her name was Hobblestep in the book, she blames people in her life, or lions, I'm going to call them people. She blames people in her life for the cruelty that they deal her. And now, for me, from my adult perspective, I don't believe that people, I mean, some people are evil. Serial killers and psychopaths are evil. But I believe that most people are the way they are because they feel it's how they have to be. And so I think that if you want people to be better, the best thing to make sure that happens is to change the circumstances they live in. Like, don't go after a person, go after the system that created that person so that the next line of people will be better and kinder and gentler. I made changes that I want to make it feel like this isn't one person's fault, this is a system's fault, and to fix the people we have to fix the system, rather than you suck and I'm gonna kill you. That's something I've learned growing up, is that most people are doing their best, you know, and if we can make their best easier, then we'll all be better. Yay! That was a weirdly deep answer to a simple question. Yes, it will be different from the book, but very inspired by it. If you read the book and watch it, you'll see the changes, and hopefully you'll like them. Bib and Bobo asks, what's your favorite type of flower? Favorite type of bird? Favorite time of day or night? I like this one because it's just about me. Thank you. My favorite type of flower is jasmine because it's my favorite smell in the world. If you haven't smelled jasmine, you gotta do it, and I have really fond memories because when I was a kid, I lived in Egypt, and they sell like these like wreaths, not wreaths, just like, it's like strings of jasmine. You can wear them as necklaces, or you can wear them like as little crowns in your hair. And when you walk around the streets of Cairo at night, like the whole street smells like jasmine, and you can buy yourself a little jasmine crown, and they sell like delicious like burnt corn. So I just have, when I smell jasmine, I just like am brought back to like walking around Cairo at night with my parents, wearing like jasmine on me and eating delicious burnt corn from like street vendors, and it just makes me happy and calm, and jasmine is my favorite flower. If we're doing looks, it's definitely orchids, but I think jasmine has the best personality. They also asked my favorite kind of bird. Maybe magpies. I really like magpies. I really like that they like shiny stuff. I relate to them. They also have loud voices, and some people hate them and some people love them, and I'm like, I get you, you're on my level, magpies. And favorite time of day or night, I always feel like a lame old lady, but I like to wake up at like 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. and go look at the sunrise. My favorite time of day is if I'm able to get up at 6 in the morning and like go outside and get stuff done, and just like no one else in the world is awake, and you get to have the whole world just to yourself, and you get to have like a cup of tea. You can go do some writing, you can go like walk the dog, you can go to the gym, like it doesn't matter, and nobody else is awake, and you just get to be alone, you just get to have a whole world, and I love that. So 6 in the morning is my favorite time of day, said no one ever but me. Question, is it confirmed that Rune is Lupus's dad? If so, where did Lupus happen to get his gold eyes from? His grandfather, maybe? I choose to leave that question unanswered. I don't want it to be important who Lupus's dad is. I don't want it to be about that. It's about his actions that he takes. Like in the next episode that's coming up, I want to really lean into like, how do you get past your past and decide who you're gonna be? Because the character of Lupus has really been defined by a lot of traumatic stuff happening to him while he was little, and then he's just been like this coward whose whole life has been about keeping his head down and not shaking any boats ever. And now he's at this point where he has to shake the boat in some direction, and he has to really pick who he wants to be, and it has to be separate from things that have happened to him. And I think that, like, him knowing who his father even is isn't even relevant and isn't even helpful for his character. So, doesn't have an answer, and I don't intend to answer it. Ha 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 ha. The end.
Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed this footage of a sloth I took while I was in Costa Rica last summer. I found it on my camera while uploading the footage for this, and I was like, that's rad. I answered a lot more questions, but this video is very long, so if you'd like a second part, comment and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you check out my Patreon if you want to, and I hope you're excited for the content I'm going to put out, because I am too. And you can follow me on Twitter if you want, or don't. And I love you. Okay, bye.